Can you remember the day when you learned how to ride a bike? I remember well, I was with my dad in the driveway, and he was trying to teach me to keep pedaling, to stay up on the bike. And everything in me, my natural reflexes, anything that wanted to keep me safe, was telling me, if you keep pedaling, you're going to fall over. And that had happened a couple times already. So I was having a really hard time learning to ride a bike because I didn't want to fall over. And everything that told me to keep, my dad told me to keep pedaling, but I knew that would make me fall over. So finally, the only thing that allowed me to actually learn was putting that voice of keeping me safe, of falling over out of my head, and listening rather to that simple instruction from my dad to keep pedaling. And as you might know, there's kind of a switch that flips at that moment where you start to realize, oh, I'm staying up and now I can actually ride this thing and turn it around the way I want to. We can often be led more by our inclinations to stay safe or our inclinations to just keep everything status quo. And that's not always a bad thing in life, but in our spiritual lives, it's rarely the case that we're called to stay safe. Rarely it is the case that Jesus is calling us to stay in a place of security or something that feels comfortable. Rather, he's always calling us out. We see today in our gospel that Jesus is calling his disciples out. He calls Peter out as he's walking on the water toward the disciples in the boat. They're afraid of him. They think he's a ghost. And he says, "It's me." And Peter says, "Lord, if it's truly you, call me out to walk on the water. Call me to you." And he calls him out. And Peter gets out of the boat and he's able to walk on the water. It's a beautiful moment of faith and trust. But then what happens? Peter starts to look around. He starts to see how strong the winds are. The storm is coming up. And he takes his eyes off Jesus and he starts to sink. He starts to sink because he takes his eyes off Jesus. And so often in our lives, how does that happen? We know, and it's kind of, it's a hard thing to realize or to admit to ourselves, but we can take our eyes off Jesus. We can say, "Lord, I entrust this to you. I entrust my life to you. I entrust this situation to you. Do what you will. I have trust in you. I have faith in you." But when things get difficult, when we see the storms of life kind of coming around, we focus more on that. We can focus more on what is wrong and what is hard. And we take our eyes off Jesus saying, okay, this is the situation. But Jesus is calling us to stay focused on him, to keep walking toward him, because Jesus wants to continue to work miracles in our lives and in the lives of the people around us. He wants us to walk on water like Peter does. He wants us to pray for healing with expectation. So let's ask the Lord today that we might not act with fear or by trying to keep ourselves safe in our lives. And ask as well, where are those places, Lord, where you might be calling me to step out in faith, to do a miracle by your grace working through me? Because Jesus is wanting to see his miracles done through us. So if we trust in him, we will walk on water.